All right, well, welcome, everybody. This is the Zoom breakout on advancement starting at home, and I've put up here a few thought questions that I want us to think about as we consider where we are in Cub Scouting right now as leaders and as parents and as people who are trying to help leaders, parents, and families. As by way of introduction, my name is Bert Bender. I'm currently, among other things, the Cub Scout resource on the Atlanta Area Council Advancement Committee. Back once upon a time, I had kids in Cub Scouting. I was a den leader starting in the 2003-2004 year, became a Cub Master after that, stepped down as Cub Master when my youngest son was a fourth grader so that I could just train replacements and have some succession. And I've been training Cub leaders ever since. I may have trained some of you who are on screen right now, since I've done over 30 trainings in the last 2 years, several hundred people. And as I get into some of the adventures that can be done, part of that comes from a perspective of having invested some time in 2009 in revising the Den and Pack Meeting Resource Guide, Den meetings, and then working on what was called the 411 Task Force that created the new, more active hiking, camping, service, games, etc. version of Cub Scouting that you have in your handbooks today. Some reminders about how we should approach our time right now. These are slides out of the training programs I do. Number one, do your best. There's oftentimes a lot of complex, difficult stuff in Cub Scouting, and there's really no required way to do it. Every pack, den, and family needs to, as they say, use your resources, because yours will be different from those of others. And resources are not just gear and money, but also people and time and Wi-Fi. Second, keep it simple and make it fun. If it's not easy for you and others to do, then find a simpler way to go about it. If it's not fun for scouts and for families and you, then it's gonna be too hard. So we want to do it that way. We don't want scouting to be the acronym KICME, which is keep it complicated, make everything hard. Then the last reminder that we're going to focus on a lot is this saying that the best gift for a Cub Scout is to get their parents involved, because that's really how we can meet the mission of the Atlanta Area Council and deliver stronger families through scouting. Now, a quick reminder about Cub Scout advancement. This is the sequence of the rank badges. So this is sort of macro advancement in Cub Scouting. And it's delivered in part through the handbooks that hopefully all scouts have, and that, by the way, can be bought through Scout Shop online. Advancement is based on age. You don't ask scouts to do more than they can. The test for everybody is do your best, because we want scouts to feel both challenged and to feel a sense of accomplishment. And parents should dig this stuff. Even if they haven't really put their nose in the handbook much yet, when they look at what's in there, they're going to realize these are the things I want my kids to know. These are the things I want them to grow up knowing how to do. And scouting can deliver that. Now, let me step back for a second, and I want us to think about how Cub Scouting has evolved over time. It may not be widely remembered by some of the younger people on this session, but once upon a time, den meetings were simply fun and games and arts and crafts and whatever the den leader wanted to do. When I was a Cub Scout back in the 60s in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, my den leader wasn't a den leader, it was a den mother. It was actually my mother. I suspect that we probably did a lot of art. Why? She was an artist. Uh, she worked in the home, so I suspect she probably put us to work too. We had 8 people living in the house, and so we probably folded a lot of laundry. And that's the way scouting was. Advancement wasn't really done in den meetings. You were told, when I was trained, actually the formal material said advancement is done at home by the parents, by the family. And then pack meetings were like community recognition and entertainment nights. It was, Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. Hey kids, let's put on a show. And that was a lot of fun. Fun fact, in the 60s, the ratio of adult leaders to Cub Scouts was as tight as 1 adult leader to every 2.6 Cub Scouts. There were a lot more leaders back then. Now, there's pros and cons of the way that was done back then. Pros of doing den meetings that were mostly fun were, hey, it was fun. And if it was fun, kids liked it, and it worked well with those creative den leaders who knew how to do things. Cons of it were, some people said, where's the substance? Shouldn't we be more about character and teaching kids? And the handbooks have important stuff. And aren't we an outdoor program? And advantages of doing advancement at home were it forced the parent to be a parent, to do scouting with the child, to make sure they didn't put off till next year or the year after, or high school, when they would start teaching their children. However, especially as time went on and we had fewer people just staying at home, parents didn't have as much time. And so for some, they couldn't do the instruction well enough, or they didn't spend the time on it. And Cub Scouting was just kind of a drop-off thing. Pack meetings were fun where they were fun, but as time went on, there were other forms of entertainment. Some people would say, if I want entertainment, I'll video tape SNL, or I have a Blockbuster card. I can go get a video and watch a movie anytime I want. So times have changed. And even though back then a den was like a circle of families, with scouts definitely working in an optimal den, working with their kids, with their parents, working as a family unit, it didn't always work out that way. So the way the program got delivered, especially in the mid-2000s and beyond, was much more was put into den meetings, advancement, and fun. But as a den leader, you realize, hey, I want to do den time. If I'm a den leader, I want to do advancement because I know I have to do it. I might as well do it during my 1 hour den meeting, as opposed to do fun at a den meeting and advancement at home and have to double up on that. Insert your own joke about 1 hour a week. The good news about this is we have den meeting plans that actually have the substance, so that you can have the important lessons and deliver those in a den setting. A downside of it was sometimes in some places, we didn't have enough den leaders. We still don't. There's some sense that parents see somebody wearing a khaki shirt and they think, oh, you'll do it. You're the den leader, so I don't have to. I'm glad that you're doing Cub Scouts. Other changes that occurred was, for example, even in BSA literature now and in the Cub Leader training, there's a recognition that some packs do pack activities more than the old style pack meetings in a church basement. Today, in some cases, this goes back to the parents who are like, oh, you will do my Cub Scouting den leader. A parent will look at a den leader as like the scouting coach. Sometimes the parents are on the sidelines. And that's a bit of an issue when we think about what our real goal is in the Atlanta Area Council, because we have a mission of building stronger families through scouting. And I want to pull up an old article. This is actually something that ran a number of times in the 2000s from a great Cub leader called Bill Smith, and pardon me while I read this, but it's important. And he says, being a good Cub Scout leader takes more than just running the meetings. In fact, that's the easy part. The essential quality of leadership is to interact with other adults, especially parents. He goes on and says, if we take on a job that could be done by a parent who's not performing as a role model for his or her child, we failed. Instead of sharing responsibility, we've opted for the easy way out. We're doing it ourselves when we could teach others that it's better that they do it. So his mantra is both never do anything that you can possibly get another parent to do, and the best gift for a Cub Scout is get the parent involved. So let's look at the present time where things have changed again, because we will have continued physical distancing to some extent for the current future. And even when those recommendations are withdrawn, we're going to have families, schools, other groups that are reluctant to risk exposure until we are completely all clear in the eyes of public health authorities. So what do we do? And essentially what we have is a paradigm shift. We have a change in the underlying assumptions of how we interact. And that may mean we need to change our approach some, because how we interact when we have the ability to all get together is different maybe from when we're getting together on these screens or in our homes and talking to people across the street. So all scouting is local. Now, all scouting is hyper-local because it is how it's delivered in each individual family. And that may have changed a lot. So we need to think about how we can deliver stronger families through scouting. It's going to include things like Zoom meetings, but it may be more. Everybody asks that as I look online and attend meetings, people ask, pardon me, my retrievers just brought me a rag. Everyone asks, how do we do meetings now? And that is part of the question, but it may not be the only question. Granted, for a lot of families, they're like, oh, what's Cub Scouting? Cub Scouting is the meeting every Tuesday at 5:30. But wait, there's actually more about Cub Scouting than just meetings. Because maybe the question isn't, how will we do meetings? Maybe the question is, how will we do Cub Scouting? And the answer to that may be a lot of things, because den meetings and the role of the den leader is part of it, but there's other resources. There's the handbook. There are meeting resources. There are online resources. Parents can be leaders. They're leaders at home now, and they need to be again. Some factors. Many of our dens formed because it was a group of 8 families where Monday at 5:30 worked for them. They could make that. The commute time worked, their job schedule worked, everything was hunky-dory. Everything's changed now. Some families may be able to work on that schedule, but maybe not all. Some may be at home, some may be at work. Some are at work, maybe working longer now, and then when they do get home, they are crushed by having to do childcare. Some may just not want to engage because of the stress of everything that's going on, let alone loss and illness. And this applies to our leaders too. So you may have people who are your den leaders who can no longer do scouting the way they did before, because the doctor who was working 3 days a week and could make time now is working 6 days a week and has no time. People who could make it to the school or stay after school could do that. Maybe now they can't. They may not have the computer resources or Wi-Fi. So let's think about ways to keep families in scouting. Here's one concern. If you have one meeting every other week, let's say, maybe even every week, you may have your roll call look like this, where some scouts are going to come in on the Zoom and say, I'm here. Others are not going to have a screen. Some may have, that's when their family does dinner at that time. So 5:30 is not working for them. Others are going to say, I'm just overwhelmed. I've got too much to do. I can't make it on that schedule. But there's a mix of methods of delivery that leaders can do. And I'm going to focus here on the den leader a lot. And my first suggestion of a delivery method is a no stress online social time with parents, not kids. Maybe you get parents and kids eventually, but check in with your parents. How are they doing? You know, because we're now 30 days into school at home for most of us and living it in social distancing for most of us. Check in and find out how your people are doing. Not everyone is going to get on that call or that Zoom, and it's worth checking in individually with people as well, so that you have individual check-ins to find out where they are. Part of that is going to be not to say, hi, I'm the den leader, I'm here to deliver Cub Scouting. Most of it is going to be to listen. When you're checking in with a family, with a parent, listen to what their situation is, because their situation may not lead itself to doing scouting right now. It may lead to more important things like saying you care, asking how can I help, sharing that we all love them in their current circumstance. That may be the best thing scouting leaders can deliver right now to families who need help. Other methods could include what I call Zoomed in check-ins, a quick how you doing version of it, where you, oops, let me go back here. Where you don't do a full den meeting with a gathering and an opening and an activity, but you just do a 15-minute check-in with the kids and parents. It could be like talk time in the den just to see how they're doing. And if you do it simply, quickly, and just as a social thing, you might actually be able to do more than full den meetings, which is a lot for a lot of den leaders. And then last, there are, of course, full den meetings that can be done. And you should do those with, use your resources. And for those who can't do it, we want to leave no scout behind. So for those who can't check in because of time, because of Wi-Fi, because of screen time, find ways to catch up with them. How do you decide? Suggestion one, get together with your parents. What works for them as a group or individually, because there may not be one way. Have your other communication with parents. As I said, listen to them, describe what they could do if they're open to that. And if they're not, have patience. Other ideas about methods. Share resources. The den leader doesn't need to do all the scouting. Parents can do the scouting. Like Bill Smith said, the best gift we can give is to get the parents involved. So you can be, to use the fancy restaurant wine steward version, you could be a scouting sommelier, and you can suggest program pairings that will work for one or more families. Maybe the entire den, maybe a family. The family that says, you know, oh, we're really interested, you know, they're interested in music. You can show them the electives that have music elements that they would probably be great at doing and would enjoy perhaps more than the robotics or science elements. So some may want to do more, some may want to do less. It's okay, especially right now as we get into this and as we're really sort of in the end of the um, program year, where in most cases, kids have earned their current school year rank. Other ideas, live den meetings. This is great. Keep it simple for leaders and parents and make it fun. If parents are bored, they're not going to want to tune in. It's not going to be a priority. If kids are bored, parents are definitely not going to want to tune in. And if it's too hard for you, find resources, because you may have people now who have better audio visual chops. You may have people who really get into being involved in some of these adventures once they see the light because you've shared with them ideas. Now may be the time when you can actually get a den chief from a troop, because we're going to have a lot of scouts in Scouts BSA troops who are saying, I want to do something. I want to earn merit badges. I'm okay being online. They may be able to come and help you. So again, you can do full den meetings, or you could just do shorter parts and keep it simple and make it fun. Other ideas, leave no scout behind. Not everyone can make the meeting. Find a way to connect. Maybe it's you personally following up. Maybe you get somebody else in the den, or a Cub Master, a committee person. It all depends on what your available bandwidth is and how you can deploy parents so that they can help lead the den as well. Because if it takes a village to raise a child, now's the time for the virtual village to come together. Other ways to help, especially for the family that can't be there. You know, we have service projects about sending caring notes to people in nursing homes or healthcare providers or first responders. You can do it in the den. You know, hey, how you doing? Sending a text of, you know, this is what we did at home. Who wants to do that? Sharing on your, your parents' Facebook page. These are things that we're doing. Would you like to do them with us? Or just letting them see what you're doing. Other things we can do as leaders, as a scouting program, we can share things like, what are the requirements for each adventure? Have you looked in your handbook? You know, hopefully they have those. We can also share things like adventure plans from the den leader guides, plus other resources, a lot of which are getting generated around the country right now. And we have some opportunity to have that here, because we have a resource that has a lot of information for parents to use. And the main advancement link to this website that I maintain in the Southern Crescent District is found, you can actually find it here on the program kickoff agenda. That'll take you to the main adventure, Cub Scout adventure pages. But up here we have something called Resources for Cub Scouting at Home. And this has a page with every single adventure in Cub Scouting. Now, when we look at it, let's take a look at a tiger adventure that would be good to do over and over again, called Tigers in the Wild, because it's about hiking. Now, some people may say, well, I don't want to go to Stone Mountain or Kennesaw Mountain, or it's closed, but every family can be out hiking the neighborhood somewhere, and they can deliver Cub Scouting and deliver this adventure or ideas to make hiking more fun by looking at this adventure plan, which, by the way, from the leader guide, we've adapted that and other required adventures into what are called streamlined adventure plans. This gives an idea for den leaders and parents so that they can deliver. These are written for an actual physical den meeting, but it works for regular parents just with their family too, so that they have a few notes, maybe on their phone, to describe things like, what are the Cub Scout 6 essentials? Most parents, if you ask them that, they wouldn't know. They would guess. They would get some right, some wrong. Some would be confused because by the time they get to Scouts BSA, there's 10 essentials now, but they could actually have the information about hiking, leave no trace, and share that knowledge with their kids. They can also use it if you have other multiple siblings. You can get your older scout to help work with the younger scout. You have a den. The den is your family. You can then share when you get the den together on Zoom or a conference call or Cisco WebEx, whatever you're using, to share what you did, where you hiked. You could maybe send pictures and video of what you found on your hike. There's a lot of options there. But wait, there's more. For elements like elective adventures, we've also put, this is Rolling Tigers. It's a cycling adventure. Many of you are probably like me in Decatur, where I am amazed by the number of families that are out riding bikes. In some cases, the parent is now getting around to teaching the child how to ride a bike. Here in Scouting, we have a resource. It's the Rolling Tigers adventure. And I don't have a lot of extra stuff here yet, but we have the adventure plan from the Den Leader Guide. And it's going to have things like a bicycle safety check. It will have some links to cycling activities. But this will give you, even just looking at the requirements, parents can use this to say, hey, Jane, hey, Jimmy, let's work on the Rolling Tigers adventure plan right now this weekend, because the weather's going to be good. We've got your bike tuned up. Let's go. Let's do scouting. And there are over 95 adventures here, each of them with that, and with more. So for example, for Art Explosion, there's links to various museums that they could check out. Terrific options like that. Let me mention a few elements of this that can really come in handy to you and your families, because again, if you like this, your families can share what they like with other families. If you're doing a biking adventure, you can, while not getting together in a group, you can share that with other families. If you're doing a music thing, you can share that link with other families. They may like it for what's there. They may decide, we like this scouting thing, we want to join your pack. It doesn't have to be fun things. It could be like the Weeblo's First Responder adventure. That's a great adventure. Not so much necessarily just for the kid. I think it's a great adventure for a parent to teach the kid, because what's the best way for a parent to learn first aid and emergency preparedness? By teaching a scout. And when we give them the information and resources to do that, we are helping them. And in a lot of cases, the information and resources will include things that I've picked up from around the country and on Facebook sites that will have videos of American Red Cross, or there's plenty of folks, like there's a dude named Cub Scout Eric who has videos of what Eric did as a Cub Scout, so that you can get ideas about how to do these adventures. Now, here's a radical idea. And I'm going to use the example of that I saw on Facebook just a couple days ago. Somebody asked, hey, my lion den has completed all of our lion adventures. Can we start doing any tiger adventures now? And it was really sort of disheartening to see how the immediate comments were sort of a universal, no, you can't do that. And I thought, why? Because, for example, bicycling is good, not just for first graders, but if a kindergartner can get up on a bike with the training wheels and learn about it now, that's going to make that scout a better rolling tiger this summer when that lion scout becomes a tiger scout. Same thing backwards. If the family is now finally saying, well, we have a fourth grader, I guess we should teach him how to ride a bike, why not use the adventure curriculum that's in that adventure? Now, truth be told, there are some adventures where it's kind of definitely age appropriate, because we don't want kindergartners using sharp knives in the kitchen. You know, we introduced that at the third grade bear level. But right now we're going to be more in the kitchen, and it may be useful to have kids learn how to use a knife in the kitchen under supervision of their parents. The best gift for a scout is to get their parent involved. Now, some people will say, no, it's against the rules to do adventures out of your rank. No, it's against the rules to earn ranks out of your grade level, but the way we put it in the 4-on-1 task force was, to paraphrase Dr. King, and that is saying that the arc of BSA advancement is long, but it bends towards recognition. So for example, rolling tigers. Yeah, do it now if you're a lion, that's fine. Does it count? Do you check the box then this summer when they're a tiger? No, the rule is they have to do it again as a tiger. And then they've earned it as a tiger elective. Let's take the fourth grader. Do they use rolling tiger as an elective for the Webelos rank? No. Well, what is the loop then? It's just a loop. For those who were in the program before 2015, they'll think of that as, oh yeah, that's like a belt loop or an adventure pin. And that's what it can be now. So let's open up scouting and let people do these adventures. And if they want to buy the loop, buy the loop. Because if that's what motivates a kid to do scouting, let's let that happen. Now I'm going to share this. You're going to be shocked at that photograph because they are not maintaining physical distancing, but this is from my old slide for training. I have an appropriate COVID version here. This is how a den leader can help parents lead. That's by coaching. It may be by sending a link to a website. It may be calling them up. It's probably both. But when you find something that may be good for that family, talk them through. And then when you do get together, praise the parents who are doing a great job with their kids so that the parent hears it. More importantly, the scout hears it. The scout should be proud of the great work that dad and mom and whoever else is in the home is doing. Because as a den leader, this is a trap. You don't want to be the one who does it all. You want to get every parent to lead, because every parent can lead a lot. And if we do that, we'll build stronger families through scouting. But we might also build stronger scouting through families. And with that, I'm going to pause. And Brandon, I'm going to ask if you have any questions from the chat, since I have not seen the chat.
I have not received any questions from the chat.
Do you have questions, or do you want to open it up?
Yes, let's open it up to questions. People, please ask any questions that you may have. You can send them through the chat. You can chime in through audio.
Now, while you do that, I will point out that when we post this PowerPoint, we actually have a bit of epilogue that has some basic information about the advancement program. But for leaders, you've probably already had that through your training or online training, or just by your immersion within the handbooks or leader guides. but the materials will be there when, if you want to go back and look at the program kickoff site, hopefully within a few days. Questions, comments?
Question, you said this material is going to be available on a program kickoff site in a few days?
Yes, I'm going to be taking the PowerPoint and delivering it to the Volunteer Service Center staff so that it can be uploaded in some fashion onto the program kickoff page. The program kickoff page currently has a link to the advancement resources that have all the leader guides, including that page with the 95 plus adventure sites, so that you have access to that right now.
Okay, thank you.
Now I have a question. As far as for advancements, do we need to go through Scoutbook or Internet Advancements?
Either one. Either one. You should do whatever works best for you. There are some people who use Scoutbook for all their advancement recording. And if you do that, that's great. It's free. And so go with that. That said, there's also Internet Advancement 2.0. Where's that available? It's available on my.scouting. And who's it available to? It's available certainly to the key 3 of a unit, the charter organization representative, the Cub Master or Scout Master or Crew Advisor, and the committee chair. I believe it's also available to, in fact, no, I know it's also available to any key 3 delegate. So if you have other computer savvy registered leaders, whether den leader, committee member, assistant, the key 3 can designate up to 3 people to be key 3 delegates, and they would have the power to go to the Internet Advancement 2.0 site, which is sometimes referred to as Scoutbook Lite. And I will say that last year as a key 3 delegate at this time of year, when helping a pack, my pack as pack trainer enter, I tried to go to Scoutbook and I had some issues with that. I went to Internet Advancement 2.0 and it was a charm. It uploaded the rank stuff very easily, created the advancement report. So either way works. But those are, I think, the only 2 ways to do it online.
All right, so coming from Chat Bird, I have 2 for you. Ms. Sherelle Collins said she loved to hear the presentation and how scouting is about family. And she also said that maybe this virtual time at home was a rest for all of us. You also have a question from Ramon Montgomery, and he asked, Bert, can you share the content you put on our district's page for DEN meetings? It may help.
The answer is on that, it's actually shared on the PKO page, because the website that has the 95 plus adventure plans is linked on the PKO page. And we're hopefully going to get this also linked on the Scouting at Home page, because it's going to supplement what is already there with, they've had some 30-day challenges that refer you to adventures. They have links to requirements for adventures. And by linking this site, they have the capacity to now give parents who really want to do a deeper dive into scouting and step up and be leaders in their own home with how to do that. What else do we have? I will comment about it being a rest to us all. The answer is it will be for some, but maybe it's a reset in terms of instead of spending all of the effort at being the den leader who does everything, now we can be the den leader to the parents to help them. Again, not so much saying you have to do everything I did before, but just to reach out to them, to share, especially if you have kids in the same grade, the same den level, you know, how's it going? Because it's a struggle, and it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be hard, but we can share ideas to get through it together, including being helpful and kind and patient, even though that's not one of the 12 Scout laws.
I have another question. For Weeblos and Bears, they have a hiking requirement to get their badges they need to earn. How would you suggest them going about being able to get that requirement completed during this time of the quarantine, or they can't really be with the pack?
There is no requirement for those hikes that they do it with the pack, certainly not with the pack, nor for that matter, I believe in most cases with the den. So let me go back to sharing here. Let me pull up the, we should have the site now. Brandon, do I have the Every Cub Adventure site showing?
Sorry, Bert, I was muted. It's up now.
So it's, okay, I'm sorry. It looks like
We can see, so now we're looking at the PowerPoint.
okay, let me go back to, are you seeing the actual website now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what I've done in this list to help parents and frankly also to help den leaders is under each rank, I've linked them based on links to adventures that can be done easily at home. And then there's going to be links to adventures that call for den activities of some sort. So if it can be done easily at home, that's going to mean, for example, when you have Weeblos Walkabout, the requirements are going to say, plan a hike or outdoor activity, assemble a first aid kit suitable for your hike or activity, recite the outdoor code, tell how you can demonstrate them on your Weeblos adventures. Weeblos adventure can be with the family. Then with your Weeblos den or with a family member, hike 3 miles. Before your hike, plan a lunch, okay? Describe and identify from photos any poisonous plants and dangerous animals and insects you might encounter. Perform one of the following leadership roles: trail leader, first aid leader, lunch or snack leader. Doesn't say with the den, could be with the family. So if mom and dad or mom or dad and Weeblos Scout and maybe siblings can go on a 3-mile hike around the neighborhood, go, put on your mask for when you come across people, use physical distancing rules, be safe. But a lot of us are taking 3-mile hikes with our families or parent and child every day now. And that's okay. And that's something that they can do with their family. It doesn't have to be done in the den. Good news for den leaders, you can say, hey, hiking family, here's a link to the Weeblos Walkabout adventure. Guess what? There's also some other tools. There's not only the den leader plan, some of these other items might be even better for you. Like there's a video about putting together a first aid kit. There's a website that you can actually, I think there's an app you can download and then snap photos, snap images of plants, and it will help identify what plant it is. So is it kudzu? Is it poison ivy? Who knows? You could use that app. And in a lot of these, we're going to have links to the similar adventures at other rank levels, where if you want more or have more than one scout in your family, you might do the other adventures that have hiking. Does that help? And
Yes,
then
it does.
And then in the adventures that involve activities with the den, I've baked in ideas about how you can do that. Because in most cases, most of the adventures are going to have an element like, you know, do this, then share with the den what you learned. So what does that mean? Does that mean the den leader has to convene a Zoom den meeting with a gathering, opening, talk time, activity where you share with the den, more activities, closing, cleanup, whatever? No, you could simply have one of those quick check-in Zooms and share with the den. Could you share with the den a video that maybe the parent takes? You know, here's what I did building, you know, let me find a, let's take Marble Madness. It's a bear, oh, hang on, let me show the screen. Marble Madness is a bear elective, and it has some elements that, you know, you can imagine. You can do marbles at home with your kids, with your family. You can do marble games. You can actually watch YouTube videos of Joe Buck doing sportscaster narration of marble races. Marble racing may be the only type of sporting event that is being safely held live now. And so you have resources on that. But this elective got written with elements like share this information with your den. You could actually share that information with a short video that you text to the other den members or email, or you take pictures, or you could share in many ways. So consider those options so that we have the ability to have families do the event and do the adventure, have a lot of fun. For those parents who are saying, marbles, marbles, A, I lost them, B, maybe grandpa had them. We've also even got a link so that you can order them from scoutstuff.org because they sell marble kits. So that can be a way that a family can do an adventure and complete it and handle the share with the den elements pretty easily.